Now, if minerals in the earth could be converted to cash directly without mining or refining or processing, Zimbabwe would be king. The country has over 60 different types of minerals. 40 of them are currently being mined. These minerals include gold, platinum, lithium, and precious stones like diamonds. The country is also ending 2022 by unleashing a slew of mining regulations that could help Zimbabwe make the most of its hidden treasures. First, the country's government issued orders banning the export of raw lithium, now insisting that the metal be processed in the country before it is sent overseas. And now Zimbabwe has followed that by suspending all processing on applications for new mining licenses for the extraction of diamonds, copper, lithium, nickel, and rare earth. There are a few reasons behind this directive, which we'll get into in the conversation. Now, the country's government mainly has said there is an overwhelming increase in the demand, but there's just more than that. Dr. Prosper Chitambara, development economist, joins me now from Harare in Zimbabwe as we get into this conversation. Prosper, welcome again to the show. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, compliments of the season to you as well.
Compliments to you too.
All right, so let's go back a little bit in time. We're in 2022, but in 2019, Zimbabwe launched about a $12 billion mining industry strategic plan to help increase production in the sector. So in terms of that plan from 2019 to 2022, take us through how successful or maybe not it has been and bring us up to date now with how Zimbabwe has been really strategically dealing with its mining sector.
Well, I would say there has been an improvement in the mining sector in terms of output, contribution to exports, contribution to gross domestic product. I think as currently we are talking of probably close to an $8 billion industry. So there has been an improvement from about, I think about 5 billion a year ago, or about 2 years ago. So of course the mining sector has also been buoyed by increase in commodity prices of the various minerals. We've also seen a lot of investments, especially from China, within the mining sector. So I think that obviously has contributed to the improvement. So I would say I think we are still on course and in terms of achieving the $12 billion vision. But of course, there are still challenges with respect, for example, to the power outages that affects the mining sector. And also the doing business environment, yes, there has been some improvements, but I would say the environment still remains a bit challenging with a lot of uncertainties. And of course, next year with an election, the uncertainties will increase. And that's likely also to affect, of course, not just the mining sector, but different sectors of the economy.
Yeah.
But of course, we hope that after the elections, the economy should quickly rebound. That is if we are able to manage those elections well. But of course, there are still a lot of challenges within the mining sector, especially with respect to leakages. So various estimates, a number of estimates have actually shown that we are losing as much as $3 billion US dollars every year through leakages within the mining sector value chain. So I think that's something that will probably need to be dealt with and addressed if we are to expedite the realization of the vision, the mining sector vision of being a $12 billion industry.
Okay, so I know the leakages is part of why government is also suspending the issuance of new licenses. There's a circular to this effect. So Prosper, take us through that. So government says they're suspending the issuance of license for diamonds, platinum, lithium, rare earth as well. And there's a number of reasons. One, of course, is saying that there's an overwhelming demand, which is a positive thing, but that's not the only reason. So tell us, what else is government saying that this suspension is in play for?
Well, in terms of the circular, I think that's I would say the main reason that's been given, but we also know that a lot of the artisanal guys have also been accused of smuggling the minerals into other countries. So I think that's also one of the reasons why government has decided to probably temporarily put a moratorium in terms of the issuance of new licenses or new mining claims for these 5 strategic minerals. So I would really say probably they're trying to deal with some of these leakages, especially by the small scale or the artisanal miners, before probably we are hoping that it's going to be probably lifted once maybe they've come to grips in terms of some of the challenges, especially with respect to the leakages by the artisanal miners.
So right now, there's not a deadline or there's not a time frame in which the government says that, okay, we're going to get back to issuing these licenses?
No, there's no time frame really. They just say that it's just a temporary ban. So we hope probably it will be lifted maybe as soon as possible.
Okay. So as part of efforts to deal with this, government has also basically appointed sub-agents who are supposed to buy directly from small-scale miners, and in a lot of these cases, artisanal miners. Do you think this is a way for government to adequately get around the issue of the leakages that are happening? You don't necessarily have to sell to us, but we have agents you will sell to so that Zimbabwe can still control and make some profit from even what is being mined illegally, possibly.
Oh yeah, I think it will help to some extent, but I think also the problem with leakages is that I think a lot of it is actually being perpetrated by politically exposed individuals. So I think it will be difficult to completely eliminate that. I think on account of the kind of people that are actually involved in these malpractices. Yes, so I think the sub-agents, I think that will help to some extent, but I don't think we will be able to completely address the issue of leakages without necessarily addressing the agents behind, or the big agents behind this malpractice.
So small-scale miners, artisanal miners are not the only problem that the government has. They've also accused some of the mining companies of not declaring the minerals that they've mined and are now asking them to declare the minerals they mine as well as the amount of work done per mine. How is this meant to work out? How will government be able to effectively monitor this? It's one thing for me to give you a declaration, but is that the true declaration? Is that really the true state of things? So how does Zimbabwe really want to effectively monitor this aspect of things? Because this is a large-scale leakage for the country.
Yeah. No, I think for what they are saying, they are going to probably increase the on-spot inspections and make them more frequent. Probably they are hoping that through some of these inspections, they should actually be able to actually find out that someone is probably mining a mineral that was not initially registered when they got that mining claim. So I'm not sure whether that's going to be very effective, but they are going to increase in inspections.
So let's get back to something that happened earlier, and that was the government banning the processing, or rather the exportation of raw lithium, saying that anyone who wants to use Zimbabwe's lithium must set up a processing plant in the country and, of course, process it there. In terms of sort of the response to that, we know a number of companies internationally, something like that happened with Nigeria involving Tesla as well. What's been the feedback in regards to what the government is trying to do with that?
Well, I think the feedback really has been mixed, but my own personal view is that I think probably they should have been given a bit of time before this ban is actually effected. There should have been a bit of time before the ban is actually effected. Probably give maybe a year or some months, and also to allow the people that are already investing in the refining to actually be able to do that within that given time frame. So there's some quotas that are in favor of the banning, the immediate banning, but of course some also feel that probably government could have maybe give a bit of time before actually effecting this ban.
So let's look at the data, and that's where we'll wrap this conversation. In 2021, Zimbabwe's mining sector registered growth of about $5.3 billion. For 2022, this is expected to go to $8 billion and also reach $12 billion by 2023. And that's not to talk about the number of jobs that come directly and indirectly from the mining sector. In terms of the potential of this sector for Zimbabwe's economy, what do you think it really is? Are we just scratching the surface right now?
I think we are still scratching the surface. I think there's still a lot of potential that's untapped in terms of really unleashing and fully leveraging the mining sector. Because we know the mining sector doesn't create a lot of jobs, being a highly capital intensive sector. But we also know that in terms of contribution to, say, foreign exchange, it's been the mainstay of the economy. And we're expecting, obviously, that those trends to continue to increase, given the favorable projections in terms of global commodity prices. But of course, an area where we need to do more is to enhance our refining capacity. I think we're still not doing as well as we should be. So I think that's an area where I think we need to be focusing a lot of our attention and a lot of our energies in terms of ensuring that we enhance our capacity to be able to value add our mineral commodities.
All right, Dr. Chitambara, we'll keep an eye on this because many African countries that are mining and engaged in this sector will also be looking at each other to see what works and doesn't work. So we'll see how things play out with Zimbabwe, particularly in the coming year. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And if we can get that graph back on the screen, Zimbabwe's mining sector is a very vital part of the country's economy. While it is quite capital intensive, what you do find is that it accounts for more than 73% of foreign direct investment, 83% of exports, 19% of government revenues, and 2% of formal employment and 11% of individual incomes. You also have a situation where there are small-scale and artisanal miners quite involved in this industry. And so that's where the leakages come from that the government is attempting to plug by now licensing sub-agents to buy directly from small-scale farmers as well as artisanal miners. The government launched a roadmap or a strategic roadmap in 2019. We're 3 years out from that. There's some gains in that with 2021, 2022 building on it and expectations that the industry will be able to hit the $12 billion mark in 2023. And that's a massive thing for Zimbabwe. Definitely will help the country with its economy and also help to shore it up in different areas. Zimbabwe has 60 minerals. 40 are being mined right now. Imagine the potential if it was able to fully exploit, explore, and of course export all of those minerals right here from the African continent. It's something that we all hope to see in the nearest future. You're watching Business Edge. When we come back, the conversation is, of course, on cryptos. But before that, I'm going to take you into the world of international business with the latest headlines.